573-875-KTGR. The Big Show starts now.
You bet it does. Welcome in to Wednesday's edition of The Big Show on your total sports station, KTGR. Andy Humphrey, Brendan Schaefer here. So, we know a little more information about Mizzou's men's basketball team today.
And it's not great information.
It's not
the information that I wanted to have.
I mean,
that's my song for the day.
Well done.
Yeah.
Submit that for the Grammys right now.
I just might. You know what? I just might.
Good. We'll get to that. Maybe more of the song, but more
not
so
a lot of
of
it.
what. It's still it's in beta. We'll talk about what we learned from Mizzou men's basketball's loss at Notre Dame last night. Tell us what you learned at 875-KTGR or comment on our YouTube channel where we're live right now and also on Facebook. We also have reactions to the college football playoff reveal.
Oh, man.
Night. Yeah.
I can't get too involved. I have to guard myself here because I don't want to get too in my feelings about two teams that I truly don't care about either which way. But what the committee is doing is heinous. It is ridiculous the way that some of these things are coming down.
We'll get to that at 5:25. Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV joins us at 4:25 for some NFL talk. We have SEC tiers. We have Eli Drinkwitz talking about National Signing Day, which was today, in case you didn't know. But it happened. Mizzou's got a high school recruiting class locked down for 2026.
They got some players. They'll be here.
It's true.
Until they transfer.
They will be there.
It'll be
not all of them, hopefully. So we'll talk about that as well. Call or text us with your thoughts, 573-875-KTGR. You can also tweet us at KTGR Big Show. And again, leave a comment. We'll interact with you on YouTube, youtube.com/@KTGR Sports. Also, Facebook.com/KTGR Big Show.
Now, the Big Show's Big Deal.
Tight game for a lot of the contest between Mizzou and Notre Dame last night in the SEC-ACC Challenge, but the Fighting Irish prevailed 76-71. Mizzou led at halftime by 7. Their largest lead in the game was as much as 12, but Notre Dame came back. It was tied going into the last half minute. The Irish hit a late 3 to essentially take control of the game. After that, Mizzou didn't have an answer, and they suffer their first loss on the season. 8-1 overall now, and next one's Kansas. They take on the Jayhawks in Kansas City this Sunday at noon. We'll see how the Tigers fare in that one. 19 players added to the class of 2026 officially today for Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou football. It ranks, according to 24/7 Sports, as the number 32 recruiting class in the country. And that is the Big Show's Big Deal on this third day of December 2025. You can call or text us here at 573-875-KTGR. So, yeah, last night, pretty typical college basketball game, and then it's a game of runs. Like one team had a swing, the other team had a wave, then the team had a response to that, and back and forth we went. Mizzou led by as many as 12. Notre Dame led by as many as 7. And largely, it could have been anybody's game heading into the last minute and a half when it was tied. But Mizzou just didn't have the play towards the end to make it happen. But look, Mark Mitchell had a great game. Jacob Cruz had a great game. Someone else has to step up. Somebody. Like that's ultimately what it is, and why I think this team's going to miss Jaden Stone for a few more weeks, because he really could have helped last night.
He could have flipped that outcome. I mean, it was that nip and tuck of a game that if you have one more productive player to come up with one key play, one key shot, one key moment, it might have been enough. And they were lacking that guy last night in the clutch.
Especially when you shoot 29%. Mizzou came in close to 40% on the year through the first 8 games. But they only go 6 of 21 last night. I mean, Cruz was great. He was 5 of 10. He
looked good. He forced the last shot, but that's like the nature of a Dennis Gates team is like, in the moment, let's just go for chaos, and the chaos might work because we're really talented, but we're not really gonna have much of a plan. I don't know that that's how Gates wanted it drawn up, but I also don't know for sure that Gates had a huge problem with Jacob Cruz just he even won up and hoping it maybe could have tied the game. Like we've seen this before.
In that aspect, I mean, well, first of all, it was Cruz that left his guy on the three that
on defense
that Notre Dame hit, and like I get that it was a deep three. It was like 28 feet out there.
He's wide open.
But Serta was seemingly the only guy that could consistently hit from the outside last night for Notre Dame. And so you don't leave that guy. I get that they're trying to make something happen. And like, this is what Dennis Gates' defenses do. But
I actually don't. I don't get what Dennis Gates' defense does.
For that situation, I don't get it.
I know what the philosophy purportedly is. I just don't agree with it. Oh, year over year, this is kind of what you get. If I told you, hey, Andy, what would you describe as a problematic thing for Mizzou basketball that I haven't often seen them be able to overcome under Gates? It's shooting sub 30% from three while playing a team that runs a very slow tempo. Notre Dame 319th in adjusted tempo. Like, this was the exact game that we were going to get. I think yesterday before we left the air, I told you 75-71 Notre Dame. If that kid had missed the second free throw at the end, it would have been exactly that score. And this is the game I thought we would get because Notre Dame slows you down and Mizzou didn't hit its shots. Like, that is how you lose. And I haven't seen Mizzou's ability with Dennis Gates to make the adjustments to these types of games and win them instead of lose them close.
Yeah, Billy, what you got?
Oh, I was going to say a lot of noise made about the trapping on that go-ahead three, rightfully so. The other one was on the game-tying three with about 90 seconds left after Mitchell had hit the second of those two free throws.
In the corner.
T.O. Barrett was guarding inside, and Mark Mitchell looked a little confused, and he kind of comes to the ball late, and then you got a wide-open shooter in the corner. It was a one-pass, wide-open three to tie the game with 90 seconds left. Again, it just looked like a team that wasn't sure exactly what it was trying to do defensively, and it burns you big time.
Yeah, we don't know either. The fans don't know either what they're trying to do defensively after 4 years. I can't say I'm surprised because that was my prediction for the way the game would go. But to have those 2 threes get drained on you in the last 90 seconds, and both of them were too good a looks to leave as open as they were.
Well, it was the same guy.
That's disappointing.
I believe it was the same shooter, right?
When he was like 4 for 7.
One. He was 4 for 7.
Yeah, both of those threes were him.
And look, he was the only guy again that could do it consistently. Shrewsbury came in hitting like 44% on the year, and he was only 3 of 9, so it wasn't as good. Burton had been up near 37%. He was only 2 of 7. Like, you held some guys pretty cold from outside, but Serta's the one guy that you can't leave. Like, he was not struggling from the outside in that game, so don't leave him. Like, Jacob Cruz needs to know in that sense, like, hey, don't leave that guy. He had a great game. Like, I don't want to bury Jacob Cruz for the game he had because he was
some big time shots.
He was one of the 2 players that Mizzou could rely upon on the offensive end in this game. But man, I am now interested to see how they adjust because outside of Cruz, who do you trust to hit threes down the stretch? I mean, nobody did last night except for
I don't have
Mark
an answer.
Mitchell, who went 1 of 4.
That one that he made, it was one of those where you're like, I hate that this is the situation my eyes are seeing, but given that it is, you probably just have to shoot it because you are wide open, and he knocked it down.
I feel the same way as last year. 1 a game. One, you get 1. You get 1, Mark Mitchell. I'll let you have your 1. You miss it?
He got
Sorry.
that one.
Can't shoot again, but he shot it 4 times last night.
Well, he did. So. And as a team, once again, the free throws are porous. 17 of 25 is simply not good enough. 68%. You just have to be better.
Certainly
than
not
that.
in the first half was a lot more awful than the second half. Down the stretch, I'll give them credit. Like, they hit him when it was important.
And that's kind of been a trend line. It's like they don't really get into the game when there's kind of, my free throws, let me go shoot them. And then, like, when they need them, they do tend to kind of, bunker down for them, but they all count. Don't get yourselves into the situation by missing free throws to where at the end of the game, you're 68%. You got to be 75, 80%.
Yeah, that's what you shoot for. And you've got to at least have the players that are there the most often hitting those shots, which I'll give credit to Mark Mitchell. 9 of 11 is excellent for him.
Yeah, that's not the problem at all.
But
and
Javon
he gets
Porter
there a bunch, so he
can't
needs
miss
that.
both.
Can't do it.
Like, Honor Boateng missed 1. Luke Northweather missed 1. Like,
they all add up.
They add up. And so as a team, this does need to come up for Mizzou if they're going to win more of these close games. Which, look, I think what we learned ultimately is that Mizzou's going to have some sort of contingency plan for their offense in these types of environments, because it does rely upon stretching the floor with enough shooters that can hurt you from the outside and allowing that space in the middle to be owned by guys like Anthony Robinson, Mark Mitchell, lob potential to a guy like Sean Phillips. But without Jaden Stone, you just miss one of those shooters that can stretch the floor. And so now somebody has to fill in that gap some way, somehow.
And I agree with you. Like, we have identified the problem. What's the contingency plan, though?
I don't know.
Like, to know we need one is a great step in the right direction.
Yeah.
To know we don't have one and that one's maybe not lurking is another matter, and it remains my concern with this season. I said after the SEMO game, or really during it, like, I cannot allow myself to get so emotional about this team when my belief is that we're going to fall short in these types of games a few too many times, to where, like, I think they'll kind of be on the bubble, and I don't know whether they'll be on the right or wrong side of the bubble. I am very much in, like, the still show me what kind of team you're going to be. And look, they find a way to knock off a solid Kansas team Sunday. There you go. I can rise my level.
That washes a lot of this past night away, I think.
Yeah. No, I've always thought with the 3 non-conference games that you play, because you only participate in 3 of them before SEC play, from the beginning of the season to the end of the non-conference slate, if you win even one of them, I'll be like, all right, like, it's not, sky's not falling. If you had beaten Notre Dame and then lost to Kansas, Illinois, that would have been the most disappointing, because you're losing to 2 rivals. But I would have said, all right, you've at least, like, we kind of know where you are, and that could be enough to go about 500 in conference play in an SEC that won't be quite as strong as it was last year, and that might be enough to get you in. You lose all 3 of the non-cons, which you lost the first one. Then I'm like, yeah, I still don't know where you fit into this SEC.
Like, because you've got to run roughshod almost in the SEC.
What would that look like to you?
Like, you'd have to go 11-7, I think.
You think?
To really like get to where, or 10-8? Okay,
10-8 could be
winning
enough
record, I suppose. But they were 10-8 last year, and they had wins against Kansas.
They did.
And like, if you lose to Kansas and Illinois now, you have nothing to point to on your not a darn thing.
0.
Like, it's just gonna be there.
Yep.
And so you have to find the feathers in your cap in conference play somehow, and that probably means doing better than everyone expects you to do. KenPom projects you to go 9-9. I think you got to outperform that by a couple of games. If you don't get a non-conference gem.
Yeah, you get by with 9-9, and like, even if the SEC is down a little this year, it can trade on its name recognition from last year. Of like, this is still the SEC. Remember last year when it was so good? Still a pretty good conference. And then like 9-9 might get you by if you at least have something to hang your hat on from the non-con. And you got to get one of these 2 games to be in that position. And if they don't, like, let's talk about 9-9 is great. If I could pencil in 9-9 for conference play with this team, I would pencil it in today. If you told me I could press the button and I guarantee lock it in, okay, I would, because I'm concerned in a realm where you don't win either of these upcoming rivalry games. You're going, how good are we? Like, we still don't know until we see us beat a team, because Minnesota does not count. You know what I mean? Like, until we beat a team where you go, no, and you beat a team where you go, okay, and like, that'll come in conference play. You'll get a win where you go, okay, we're starting to get the data points. But it's December, and we don't really have many data points. We've got really one, and it was last night where you go, all right, sure, quad 1 game on the road, but Notre Dame's not a tournament team, in my opinion. Like, I would be surprised to see Notre Dame make the NCAA tournament. And, you lost a close one at their place. It was about what everybody expected, down to the wire, totally understandable. But I do think you'll be looking at that resume as it goes along. If you're 9-9, going, boy, we really didn't do anything in the non-conference if you end up dropping all 3 of those games we're talking about. And B, if you drop all those games we're talking about and we're getting into conference play, I won't know how many wins to predict for them to get over an 18-game SEC slate, because it could be 6-12. It could still be 10-8. But the floor is low, in my opinion, in a world where you go into conference play without a win against anybody, because I'll be like, Most of the teams you're going to play in the SEC are like probably in that Notre Dame range or above. I would have to imagine.
Yeah, mostly. Pretty much everybody in the SEC. I'll go ahead and just confirm to make sure. Yeah, it's from 91 is South Carolina, and they're the lowest team. Mississippi State's 81, and those are the only two right now that are lower than Notre Dame, who's at 68 right now. So yeah, you have a bunch of those types of games that you had last night coming up. That'll probably be a little bit tougher. And so, like, if I think back to last year's 10-8 in a historically good SEC strength of the conference type of situation, yeah, 9-9 this year, it doesn't cut it, especially if you don't get Kansas or Illinois. That puts you at 19-12. You sure you get? I don't think you're getting in with
I am
that.
not sure about
really
making it at that. Yeah.
Like, I get it. The SEC, I think, still is the best conference, but not by as much as last year. And you'll get a bit of deference for that, but it's not going to feel all cushy come mid-March.
I would need to see the 9. Like, who'd you beat? What does it look like? And maybe you play in. Maybe they can expand the tournament to 76 right now.
You might need
maybe that helps you.
Yeah, that's true.
Expand it today.
Yeah.
Because we're team number 73 right now is the way that it could feel. I don't know. And that's why I said I can't, last year's team I really got on board with because I saw the potential there. And so it was heartbreaking when they lost to Drake. This year's team, man, if it goes 19-12 and you're on the bubble, that's still something because you did lose production from last year and you've got that great recruiting class coming in. But I'm just tired because I think if they have a downfall this year, it's going to be the same thing that we could say just about every year that it is. And I'm disappointed with the lack of adjustments is kind of where I'm at right now.
So call or text us with your thoughts on Mizzou basketball's loss last night, 573-875-KTGR. Since it was the first loss in the first game that we really learn any information, I won't say that they can't win games like that in the future.
Sure. They could have won that game.
Could have won that game. And say this, I'm not blaming it on the officials, but like,
which one?
The technical foul, like Jacob Cruz got teed up for the heinous act of shooting the basketball after the whistle. Like that's essentially what happened here. Like it can't be. That's the only thing I can surmise from the video. They called the technical foul on him for. It's not anything that he said because the official who called it was the furthest away from Jacob Cruz, and he wouldn't have heard anything that the other two officials didn't hear. And so he's calling a T for, like, it's on an offensive foul, and I guess out of frustration he's shooting the basketball, and that's how the official interpreted it.
Is it like a delay of game type of
maybe, but
sportsman-like
but even
conversation?
Then, come on, what are we doing here? That's a ref show. Like, I just in a game, like, sure, I get it. It's not the officials, but in a game that was tied in the last half minute, I'm not gonna forget that Notre Dame was gifted 2 points there.
I couldn't even bring myself to get emotional about it because of the reasons you were in that situation in the first place was disappointing. You could go back to the final 30 seconds of the first half. Like, there are moments where this Missouri team, and I don't know where it comes from, but it feels like it happens in too many of their games, where they just kind of take their foot off the gas because they think it's a moment where they can afford to do so. And that's the moment it'll get you. Bang, 5-0 run, and it felt like there was no halftime.
It's
like the momentum
into the next half. Yeah.
And it's like, did you not take 15 or 20 minutes to try to regroup in the locker room? I could have told you right then and there, Notre Dame will be tying this game before the under 16. Like, after that way that first half ended, you're like, before the under 16, we're going to have a 1-point game, or we're going to have a tie game, or Notre Dame's going to take the lead, because that is just the way. It's not just a Mizzou thing. Like, that's also like the ebbs and flows of college basketball. But it just felt so predestined that you're like, yep, there's going to be a dogfight to the end of this game. Whereas Missouri was in a spot to kind of be able to take some control of it, and it let its foot off the gas right before halftime. They played such a good defensive half, such a good kind of scrappy. They made the game kind of ugly, which is the way Notre Dame wants to play it. And Mizzou was playing to that, and they found a way to have that work. Hit enough shots to be in a really good situation. And I thought that right before the halftime, your heart sank a little bit. Because you go, I've seen this before. This is the way that you can look back and at the end of a game that's one possession go, man, I wish we hadn't done that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, you look back at a lot of different moments and you wonder what if for a game like this. But again, it's the first game that Mizzou was really tested in, and now we'll just see how they respond to it, and how it looks against Kansas will be very interesting. Kansas has a weird injury situation going on with their star freshman. I'll guess, I have no insider info here, but I'm going to guess that he's not playing again. I don't think this is the game to bring him back for if he couldn't play against UConn in the last one. I just don't know.
I mean, that's hard. It's not like I know the rivalry is meaningful to both sides, but it's not like you're going to go, we're going to hold this guy out of UConn. He's almost ready, but we're going to hold him out because we're getting him ready for Missouri. I still don't think you quite do that if you're Kansas. And so if this was a situation that was nearing its resolution, unless it's simply the additional, 4 days or whatever it is, because Kansas played last night, losing to UConn, close game, kind of similar to Missouri's game, but they were at home for that game.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas was. Yeah, I would say, if I had to guess, he probably wouldn't play, but it seems like there's just weirdness surrounding his status. So we'll see.
Yeah, very interesting. They'll tip off on Sunday at noon at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. So we'll see if Mizzou can rally the troops and try to bring home a rivalry win and make it back-to-back wins against Kansas.
That would be big.
That'd be nice, man.
That would be, that would wash away every little piece of stink that I feel about yesterday, where I was just like, kind of thought this would be a trap. This would be a tough, not say a trap, like it was a coin flip on the spread. It was projected to be close, and you want to get those types of games when you can. And that one was there for the taking. You beat Kansas, though. I won't even. Notre Dame, who aren't they that team that's trying to stay ahead of Miami in the playoff? Like, I won't care at all about last night. But if you lose it, then we're suddenly going, wow, we've been talking about basketball for over a month, and we've got nothing to show for it yet for the season. I mean, that's really a possibility if Sunday goes the wrong way. And it's like another close call, 2.5-ish on the spread.
Yeah.
So the powers that be suggest that Missouri should be in this basketball game as well.
So how do you think it's going to go? Let us know. 875-KTGR here on The Big Show with Andy and Brendan, 573-875-5847. A call or text us here or leave a comment on our YouTube channel or on Facebook. Up next, we talk some NFL with Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV. And I had to ask him about the interview they did on Up and Adams with Tyrann Mathieu, who seemed to hint at maybe a return from retirement. And they were in Kansas City, and he kind of hinted at that too. So we'll ask Matt Hamilton about that next year on The Big Show, KTGR.
This the latest edition of The Big Show? Catch up on demand with a full show podcast on the KTGR app. Download it now, wherever you get your apps.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. Award-winning auto collision repair. Don't wait, we're great. We work with all insurance companies. We work with all insurance companies. Yes, we work with your insurance company. New Bloomfield, Missouri. FPPBodyShop.com. 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 Fletcher Performance and Paint.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
Hey, this is Jimmy with Pro Designs, and maybe you've heard, we're the vehicle wrap specialist, but branding your business doesn't stop there. At Pro Designs, we can wrap your walls, windows, even floors.
Go to ProDezIGNS.com.
Come see them at their locations in Eldon or Columbia off Rangeline Street and I-70.
Pro Designs, but better than a billboard.
You're not the kind to make a nice little snow angel when the snow falls. You mark your territory in a different way. With a lemonade autograph. But when others tinkle their title in your business parking lot, you get peed off. Thanks a lot, Chad. Nice cursive work, though. Good for you, Tina. Tina? Wait a minute. Get rid of the snow graffiti with Crutch's Custom Exteriors commercial snow removal. Call Crutch's and get a quote today. Seriously, though, Tina, that's impressive.
Hey, y'all, it's Molly from Billiards. We've all heard about Santa's naughty and nice list.
And I know where you're at this year.
So at Billiards, we're doing a naughty burger and a nice burger.
Which is which?
Our nice burger is our famous Billiards burger. Top it with whatever you want. The naughty burger is our roomy with lots of spice.
Santa likes making it hot.
Looking on down for burgers and beer. Billiards, home Broadway.
You know, we named Vixen after Mrs. Claus.
Oh, Santa.
Before the sun comes up and long after it sets, ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather keep working for you, gathering the information your family needs to take on the day, alerting you to breaking news and health and safety concerns in our area, plus tracking the latest weather conditions to help you plan ahead. It's everything you need to know from the team you trust most. ABC 17 News and Storm Track Weather, where the news comes first.
Your daily fix of local sports lives here. This is The Big Show on KTGR.
We're back here on The Big Show, KTGR and the KTGR app as we get set for yet another football weekend. And the Chiefs, well, to this point, sure seems that they've got to win out in order to make the postseason. They'll try to start that out as they host the Texans, which will be an interesting matchup for them on Sunday Night Football. And here to talk all things Chiefs and NFL is our good friend Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV. You can see him on Up and Adams with Kay Adams on FanDuel TV every weekday morning. So be sure to check that out. And Matt, I mean, this Chiefs team, it seems that with how their offense has looked, that they should be better than the record that they are, but clearly 6-6 has been a disappointment to this point. But how have you kind of pinpointed the way that the Chiefs have gotten to this point now where they're up against the wall and they've got to be spotless the rest of the way in order to even have a shot at the postseason?
Yeah, it's tough because it's not most of these games. It comes down to these moments that we usually see the Chiefs find a way to win. They haven't been doing that this year. I don't think, again, this year it's going to be a hard path. They have to be spotless, like you said, the rest of the way to get in. And I don't know the way that this year has gone. I'm never counting the Chiefs out. Don't get me wrong. As long as number 15 is suiting up, it just doesn't feel like it. But I also want to say, there's a lot of panic because this year hasn't gone the way they wanted to. I wouldn't get there yet because I think the pieces are still there in place for this team to get it together very quickly next year. If it doesn't work out this year, as I said, if even half these games just go another way, we're talking about this team at the top of the AFC and, competing for a Super Bowl again. I think it might just be one of those years, and I don't want people to overreact to it because, again, I think this roster is still very close. I think in a lot of ways this roster has gotten stronger than it was in last year. I know that sounds weird to say because the record is what it is, but I don't think this is a Veach's lost, Andy's lost type of a thing. I think this is just a weird year for them. But I do think the overall long-term health, I hate these takes that the dynasty is dead, all this other stuff. The Patriots had their down years in their dynasty too. I think long-term the Chiefs are going to be fine. But yeah, this year they got to start finding ways to win these games and make the plays that need to be made. I wish I had a better reason I could pinpoint to tell you. It's just there are these moments they're not making the plays they need to make in these moments. And I think it's as simple as that, as frustrating as it is.
Certainly seems that way. It's almost an unspoken thing that's hard to put into words. You just know that it's usually there with the Chiefs, but just hasn't been in some very key games that you look back on and you say, man, just flip that and things look a little bit differently. But I do want to ask about, defensively, it sure seemed in the last game that offensively they had what they needed against the Cowboys, it would seem, but they just could not get off the field on defense. How do you view, particularly in the pass rush, with not a whole lot of changes to that room, but very clearly a drop in production for what this Chiefs defense needs in order to stay a strong defensive unit going forward?
Yeah, I think he hit it on the head. It's that front that's if there's one area to pinpoint with this team that needs to be addressed in the offseason, it is that pass rush. And the Karlaftis contract isn't looking great right now. I mean, they had trouble getting pressure with 4 last year. He's a good player. He's been a very important piece to this team winning those Super Bowls. He's not that elite pure pass rusher that I think they paid him to kind of be. And I just think, we've seen what his ceiling is, and it's very good. It's double-digit sack production, but it's not a guy who's generating consistently disruptive pressure down to down. I think Chris Jones still has it in spurts, like we saw a couple weeks ago. He can turn it on, but he's on the back end of his career right now. And then there's just not a lot of depth there. That's the biggest area where they took a hit in the offseason was the depth up front, especially on the interior. So you're seeing those things start to come through. But yeah, that's the biggest issue, because I think secondary-wise, they have some young pieces that I think are going to be good down the line. I think the linebackers have played pretty well for the most part this year. It really is. They have to overhaul and give that front a facelift in this offseason. And I think they have the assets and the resources to do it, but it's got to happen because they can't go through another year like this where they're totally relying on blitzing to generate pressure.
Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV here on the Big Show, KTGR, and the KTGR app. And I know earlier this week you had a show in Kansas City on Monday to celebrate the opening of sports betting in Missouri. And you had Tyrann Mathieu on, who just recently retired as a member of the Saints. But it seemed like he was maybe hinting at, maybe I'll walk over to Brett Veach's office and just say, hey, what's up? And all that. How serious do you think he was to be like, hey, maybe I could come out of retirement and help this Chiefs team? Because he referred it to we a lot of the time in that interview with Kay.
Yeah, and I think he was serious. And he genuinely, the way he talks about his time in Kansas City is so genuine and so thoughtful, and the way that he was received here. And it wasn't just the fact that they won here. He said it's the way Spags treated him and the way he was able to take ownership of the defense. And that's something he appreciated so much. And he clearly loves Patrick Mahomes. And he talked about that being a factor in him getting to this place mentally, is that the idea of playing with Patrick again. I think he was serious. Now, I don't know that we see it happen this year. Obviously, there's stuff with the retirement and his contract and all of that, since he was a member of the Saints. But I think next year, I would not put it past him. I think it's a real possibility. And not that Tyrann said this to me. What you heard on air was the extent of it, but I just get the sense, because you look at the timing of his retirement, right, with the Saints, it was right before training camp. And I think he looked at it as he knew what the season was going to be for the Saints. And it's, do I want to put my body through this knowing I'm not going to win? Because it is clear from, I can say from my conversations, winning is so important to him and the most important thing to him, which is not for every player, but it is for him. And that idea of putting his body through that punishment, had to be a lot for him to think about. But he loves this game. He has such a passion for this game, such a mind for this game. I think the idea of being able to, he had a year off to rest his body. The idea of coming back and being in a situation where he could go chase something, go win something, does seem really appealing to him. And I think he's going to think about it.
Could be very interesting. Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV here on the Big Show, KTGR. Let's jump to other parts of the NFL, Matt, particularly in the AFC. Maybe you have a different view of these teams, but I'm sure, like Brendan and I, we kind of agree on this. The top of the AFC, why can't we trust fully any of these teams? I know that they have great records. New England and Denver, they're all up there. Indianapolis there too. But why can't we trust them? Why is it so topsy-turvy? It feels like in the AFC in particular.
It really does feel that way. And I think it's because I think they're all good teams, first of all. I don't think there are any great teams. I think everybody is just kind of close to the same level right now. I do think New England people don't trust because of the schedule, but I think New England's been consistently the team that's consistently played the best football. And again, winning 10 straight games, I don't care who you play, winning 10 straight games in this league is very hard. And they've done it, and they've done it fairly convincingly too. They take control of most of these games. Even the games that have been close, they've kind of been in command for most of them. So I do give New England a little bit of an edge over some of these other teams because of the consistency there. But yeah, Denver, it comes back to the quarterback play for Denver. He played his best game of the year, his most complete, consistent game of the year against Kansas City. But otherwise, it's odd with Bo. It's hard to put a finger on because there are moments where he looks great, and there are other moments where it just looks like he's not processing the way he should be. He's throwing balls in places where he shouldn't be throwing them. And it's tough. You think maybe over time that's something he's going to get a better handle on. But for right now, yeah, it's really, to me, looks like the mental aspect. Physically, he can do it all, but there's these moments where he's just not making the right reads. Jacksonville, they're inconsistency, kind of the same thing with Trevor Lawrence right now. And it's amazing to look at them, and they've won 4 of their last 5 games. The offense is a top 5 offense over the last 5 weeks, and he's thrown 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions over that span. It almost defies logic. If he can, and again, we know he's a guy with talent. If he can get it together and start playing better, that's a team that might be able to do something. But yeah, the rest of it's just a lot of these teams are really close to each other, and they have an off day, and it looks sad and it falls apart. Josh Allen included. His inconsistency this season has been a part of the Bills' issues. So, I know they have their issues at receiver and whatever else you want to say. He has not played his best football this year either. So, look at it. A lot of it does come back to that quarterback position. And again, Drake May right now is playing week in, week out, the best football of anybody in that conference.
It is fascinating because, you look at the teams that are in the playoffs in the AFC, and then I flip over to the NFC and there are some more trustworthy teams there. Green Bay's in it, San Francisco, Philadelphia, Chicago is pretty interesting, and they're the ones at the top right now. So that's still kind of weird, but it just seems that whoever comes out of the NFC, in my mind, out of those teams, they will have a harder path to get there. And then when it comes to the Super Bowl, maybe that gives them the better chance over whoever it might be in the AFC. But just for the NFC and how hard it might be to break into that field, how then do you view a playoff path for a lot of those teams that we expected to maybe be at the top, but now they're going to have much less navigable steps to get to where they want to be?
Yeah, it is. It is an absolute gauntlet in the NFC. I do still think this past weekend aside, I think the Rams are the team to beat there. Again, West Coast team playing a 1:00 game in bad weather. We see weird things happen in those situations, and the Panthers played a great game, and it's not to take away from them. And the Panthers we've seen the Panthers play some really good games this year, and this was one of them. But I do think, again, you talk about consistency week in, week out, completeness of that team. There are really no glaring holes in that squad. They're strong everywhere. They've played, I think, the best football for them in that conference for the majority of this year. I still think it's the Rams, and then everybody else is a step behind right now. Not to say they can't lose, but that's how I see it stacking up. The Bears are going to be interesting here. I'm still not fully bought in on the Bears. What is going to travel, what is going to stay, that offensive line has been phenomenal this year, which they overhauled in the offseason, as we know, and it's really paid off. It's gotten the run game going. Still want to see Caleb take that next step. Still want to see the defense down to down. Jalen Johnson being back is a big thing. Down to down play a little bit better. They've been doing a tremendous job of taking the ball away. But as we know from history, like, that's not always the most sustainable way to play. But yeah, I think it's the Rams right now, and then everybody else is, again, it's like kind of like the AFC. There are a lot of good teams in there. You're right. There's a lot more like more trustworthy brands in there with some of these teams. But yeah, I do think it's the Rams and everybody else right now.
Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV here on the Big Show KTGR. This is kind of an off-the-wall question, so indulge me. But both of these teams, it seems pretty unlikely that they make it into the playoffs. But if you had to pick, who's more likely to make the postseason, the Bengals or the Cowboys?
Oh, that's a great question. Right now, I honestly think the path is easier for the Bengals to do it. As crazy as that sounds at 4-8, because the Ravens and Steelers are kind of falling apart. Both quarterbacks are hanging on by a thread physically, injury-wise. And the Bengals schedule is pretty soft the rest of the way. The biggest, and I like what the Cowboys are doing right now. I love the way they're playing. They're a legitimately good football team right now. But the biggest obstacle is the way the NFC looks right now. And they're 3 games back in the win column of San Francisco, who's sitting in the 7th seed. That is a tall order, especially when you look at the schedule they have. Their best path might actually be to beat out the Eagles and win that division with what's going on with Philly now. And as bad as Philly looked on Friday, I'm not ready to say it's a repeat of 2023 yet. It's just neither team has a margin for error right now, but I feel like I trust the teams in front of the Bengals less right now than I trust the teams in front of the Cowboys, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. I think that's right, actually. And we'll see what it looks like for the Bengals. But anything can happen, it seems, in that division with how it's looked so far. Should be a fun last 5 weeks of the regular season. Then we get ready for playoff time. Great to chat with Matt Hamilton of FanDuel TV on Twitter at MattHamilton25. And go watch Up and Adams with Kay Adams every weekday morning on FanDuel TV. And again, they were in Kansas City earlier this week to celebrate the opening of sports betting in Missouri. So, Matt, I'm sure that you've had a lot of good local feels over the last few days or so with all of that.
Yeah, it's been great. It was great to get back to Kansas City, back to Arrowhead, connect with people over there, be back in the great state of Missouri. It was a great time, and happy to have Missouri in the fold now for sure.
Hey, we love it too. So go and check it out again over on FanDuel TV. Matt Hamilton, producer and on-air host for Up and Adams with Kay Adams, and great to have him here on the Big Show KTGR. Thanks for coming on, Matt. Enjoy your week, and we'll talk very soon.
Thanks, Andy. Appreciate you having me.
Big Show's on at 4:44, KTGR in the KTGR app. Who would you say, Brendan, it's more likely, Bengals or Cowboys to make the playoffs?
I think it's the Bengals. I think it's the same answer that he gave, and we tried to kind of lay out the lay of the land yesterday. It's not that either team have a great chance, but I think the Lions are really blocked by not only the tough situation of the NFC, but their schedule is not easy either. Like, it's not as easy to see them rattling off a bunch of wins, and even if they do it, they'll be capped at 12-5. So that might not even get you in to a wild card the way things are going. So, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting story. I'm kind of rooting for the Bengals, though, after we talked about it yesterday. Like, it would be a really interesting path.
I'm not. I'm done with Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
It's time, man.
Bengals fans might be, too.
Yeah. Do they hope that they don't make the play? They should.
Honestly, if you're the
Bengals,
Bengals, you should want to make it because you'll have maybe the best or second best quarterback in the AFC. Yeah. Potentially, you're going to have potentially no Mahomes and Josh Allen. You know, we've seen his battles with Joe Burrow, but I don't think that's crazy to imagine that if you get in as the Bengals and we did a power ranking of the AFC quarterbacks after we see the 7 teams that it would be, I don't think it's crazy to think of Joe Burrow being in the top 2 or 3 of those names.
It is fascinating. So tell us what you think at 875-KTGR. Okay, onto the bus next. A very odd situation between the Clippers and CP3 that we learned about overnight. And now I guess they are not on speaking terms anymore. At least CP3 with Tyronn Lue. We'll get to that next.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. I'm Billy Jones. This Sports Center update is with Lee's Tire Company. If it's rounded rubber, Lee sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com. Missouri basketball suffers its first loss of the season. The men's team, that is, as they fall 76-71 at Notre Dame in the ACC SEC Challenge. And now sit at 8-1 on the season. A go-ahead three-pointer for Notre Dame with just 21 seconds left helped the Fighting Irish to the win. Mark Mitchell, 26 points, 5 rebounds. Jacob Cruz, 22 points. He was 5 for 10 from deep. Missouri back in action for the border war against Kansas. That game will take place on Sunday. You can hear that one on KCMQ. Tip-off set for noon. Missouri football signs 19 freshmen for their high school class of 2026. ESPN had them ranked as the 25th best class in the nation. Some injury news for the Chiefs as they get set to take on the Texans for Sunday Night Football. Guard Trey Smith and tackle Juwan Taylor both did not practice today. Andy Reid announcing today that Josh Simmons is now on IR after he received wrist surgery. He left Thursday's game against the Cowboys. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast is with Steve's Pest Control. Merry Christmas from Steve, Anita, Megan, Jared, and the entire team at Steve's Pest Control, wishing you and your family a safe and happy holiday season.
I'm tracking dangerous cold tonight with below zero wind chills for Thursday morning. A weather alert days in effect through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for that dangerous cold. We're still below freezing all day tomorrow, even with sunshine, but we do bounce back the rest of the week into the upper 30s on Friday and Saturday. We look dry for the rest of the forecast with our next system looming at the end of the weekend. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Chiefs Kingdom lives here.
This is the Chiefs Kingdom.
Touchdown, Kansas City! Tune in every Monday night at 6 for the Chiefs Kingdom Show, hosted by the voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holtis. Hear from head coach Andy Reid and your favorite Chiefs players all season long. After every game, enter the doors to the Chiefs Kingdom. Monday nights at 6, powered by Macadoodles, Steve's Pest Control, and your total sports station for all things Chiefs. KTGR.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Save big on everything for your next project when you shop at Menards. Transform your home with Shaw Vinyl Plank Flooring. The Hillcrest series is waterproof and offers superior protection to stains and foot traffic. Pick it up today for $279 per square foot. Now through December 7th. Save big money on all Shaw Vinyl Plank Flooring at Menards. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening this week.
You know your former golf bag? It's not just holding up the weed whacker on your garage wall. It's also holding cash. Same goes for that rowing machine you swore you'd use once. At Play It Again Sports, turn your gently used gear into money in your pocket. Bring in your old golf equipment, fitness gear, softball bats, baseball cleats, and more. Cash out and keep it, or trade up to something better. Play It Again Sports in Columbia. Think of them first so you don't finish last. Play It Again Sports, ColumbiaMo.com.
The warm scent of maple spiced coffee fills the air. And is that a hint of Caribbean rum? That must be Caldy's Coffee Highlander Grog Brewing, our decadent maple spiced blend that's won fans nationwide. Loved for how it smells and for how it makes you feel. Each cup brings back the comfort of a classic coffee morning. Cozy, nostalgic, maple spiced coffee. Shop CaldiesCoffee.com for your bag today. Also available in pods.
If you're tired of telling that one guy that, yes, meetings are mandatory, and you're done doing so-and-so's projects because, well, they just couldn't get to it, then maybe it's time to revamp your team with MidmoHires.com. Post your open positions along with a description of the job, pay, location, and other info too. You don't have to put up with someone's shenanigans for much longer. Post your openings now at MidmoHires.com. Great local companies hiring great local people. MidmoHires.com.
Hey, Lenny. George, good to see you. Yeah, well, it ain't so good to see you, pal. I wish you'd kept quiet all those years. Family Pawn's got all the hunting gear people need to do exactly that. Bows, scopes, ammo, everything. Doing what, George? Look at you, mounted on the wall for everybody to see. Not gonna lie, George. I thought I like hanging around. Their fireplace feels real nice.
Not your traditional pawn shop. Family Pawn.
I want to go to Family Pawn.
The best local sports talk around on your ride home. You've got The Big Show on KTGR.
It's time to go under the bus on The Big Show.
It seems very odd that just all of a sudden Chris Paul's just not on the Clippers anymore. Okay, see ya. Apparently him and Tyronn Lue, according to the president of basketball operations at the Clippers, says that CP3 and the head coach are not on speaking terms, that they just came to blows a few too many times, that it wasn't one event that it stems from. It was a multitude of events, and it just culminated in last night while we were all asleep, saying, yeah, sorry, goodbye, CP3, after he had announced that this was his last year. He was going to retire after this year. So now what? What's CP3 do now?
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just done. They said it's his last year, and I guess it's his last game. That's it. I don't know. That's a weird situation.
Like, it can't be, right? Like, he doesn't want to go out like that. Don't you think?
I imagine that it's accurate that he doesn't want to go out like that. But it was like the Clippers thing was kind of a last hurrah homecoming type of vibe for him anyway. And so, like, when that one doesn't pan out, and when you haven't really been like playing a lot anyway, productive, I mean, sometimes they tell you when it's time. You don't necessarily get to tell them. And I'm not saying that like it couldn't be that he could revive a little bit of production in a different environment. Like, he played all of last year, was a regular player and played decent amount. I was trying to find his minutes per game last year. He played 28 minutes per game, was a regular player in San Antonio, and now here we are, and that's it.
So odd.
Under the bus.
It is odd because I think that's where he wanted to finish,
right?
And so for it to end this way, if someone else out there would like to take him and play him, I think he would do it. But I don't know what it's going to be.
He'll be a Laker soon. LeBron will bring him in.
Interesting,
right? I think so.
It's an interesting call.
If JJ's good with it, I suppose. I guess he's got to be all right with it. But
it's really more about what Coach LeBron wants to do, isn't it?
Also, under the bus to the ACC network. Look, I respect the hustle, but man, this is pretty desperate. The ACC network this week is re-airing the Miami Notre Dame game 13 times.
Oh my gosh, never mind.
There's like back to back on multiple days. It's like a marathon of the same game over and over, trying to make us all to remind us all that Miami beat Notre Dame.
It's actually really funny. I've got like two thoughts of like, isn't there like a I don't know, like a Stanford volleyball game that should get to be seen instead? So like that's number one. And number two is like, it's a good thing that nobody has that channel, because otherwise then we would
and everyone would see it. And
everyone would see it.
Maybe change their minds, but unfortunately,
Under the bus.
It's like, that's an ESPN entity right there. It almost seems
really
like
funny.
a conflict of interest. Like, come on.
Well, we don't see any of those in college sports,
No,
it couldn't be a conflict of interest.
It's time for the sweetest thing in sports on The Big Show.
I mean, this is pretty sweet. The Chiefs didn't win the game, but the Chiefs-Cowboys game was the most watched regular season NFL game ever. like 57 some odd million viewers.
I believe it.
Thanksgiving.
It was a good game. It was two great, well-known brands, and in the middle of our Thanksgiving dinner, that was a lot of fun. The Xavier Worthy play, I know the Chiefs lost the game, was as excited as I've been about an individual play, just like getting into the hype of the day and the fact that it made me a winner on Underdog. But I was just really excited about the football that day. So it seems that a lot of other people were too.
And so you at least have that to hang your hat on. Everyone's going to watch the Chiefs. Everyone's still going to watch the Cowboys.
Yep.
You put them together on Thanksgiving, and that's the recipe. You could have foretold that right as the schedule came out back in March or whenever it was. So
and our next holiday is Christmas night. We get the Chiefs again. So
and the Broncos.
They're always with you, those Chiefs, on your special family days. They'll be there some way or another.
Working on holidays, man. Just every so often, give them a break.
They can't have a break. No. Every holiday they must work.
Have to be your show pony on the holidays every single time. We will talk about the penultimate college football playoff rankings.
I love that word,
bro. It's a great word. Released last night. Boy, that Alabama parachute. Did they deserve that over Notre Dame that the College Football Playoff Committee gave to them ahead of Conference Championship weekend? We'll discuss. We'll also have our SEC football tiers and Eli Drinkwitz's thoughts after National Signing Day. All coming up on The Big Show.
The Lee's Tire Company Holiday Survival Kit. Snacks packed, gifts wrapped, and tires that won't slide around like a plate full of holiday gravy. Better call Lee's Tire Company. Right now, buy 2 tires and get 2 free on Mastercraft and select brands. This is a massive holiday deal, so make sure you stop into Lee's Tire Company for their buy 2 tires, get 2 free on Mastercraft and select brands.
Ho, ho, ho. Lee's Tire Company is round for you. Ooh, see Lee's.
This year, take a bite out of one holiday hassle and have your festive feast expertly prepared by Main Event Catering. The chefs of Courtyard by Marriott Columbia. Ready for pickup? You'll spend less time in the kitchen and more smiles with family. All the favorites: turkey, ham, prime rib, roast beef, even fried chicken and more. Plus, any of the side dishes and desserts your crew craves. Treat to your family with Main Event Catering. Order Holiday Magic today. 443-8000, 443-8000, and jingle all the way.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. Your moment is finally here because DraftKings Sportsbook is live in Missouri. You can get in on all the action with fast withdrawals, a safe and secure app, and betting that's easy to use anywhere you go. And the best part, DraftKings keeps the excitement going with awesome promos and offers all season long. That's why it's America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't wait. New customers sign up today. Bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Let's go, Missouri. Get in the game.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KTGR. New Missouri customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. That's code KTGR in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility and restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
KTGR AM Columbia, KTGR FM Fulton Columbia, K286CL Columbia, in Missouri's total sports station. KTGR.
I'm Christine Lisi. Could Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks be headed for a breakup? Sources tell ESPN's Shams Charania, the two-time NBA MVP, and his agent are having conversations with the team about his future and whether his best fit is remaining in Milwaukee or a move elsewhere. A resolution to the talks expected in the coming weeks. Milwaukee's dropped 8 of its last 9, is 11th in the East. Past moves make it difficult for the Bucks to improve their roster to please Giannis, notes ESPN NBA analyst Chinea Gwumake.
I'm not surprised because they've exhausted all options, in my opinion. They not only emptied the cabinet, they emptied the kitchen, and on top of it, for their future, they mortgaged their house. So what else is left for them to sort of move, whether it is with assets or just on the team, to maintain this expectation and vision that they collaborated on to win a championship?
Shams also reports before Chris Paul's shocking ouster from the Clippers, he and Coach Ty Lue were not on speaking terms for several weeks. The team felt that Paul's leadership style had become disruptive. Lakers won't have Luka Doncic tonight in Toronto, out against the Raptors for personal reasons. Marcus Smart also out, lower back injury management.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Keep your career moving forward with growth opportunities, great pay and benefits, and one of the country's top workplaces. Go to careers.progressive.com and apply today.
From Faro,
15 to the 10, to the house.
Bush,
Back to the wall, and it's got her.
and Arrowhead,
Touchdown! Kansas City!
to your speakers.
This is the big show, baby.
Get fresh takes on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Right now, this is The Big Show with Andy and Brendan on KTGR.
So, the penultimate college football playoff rankings are out. And it's quite important heading into conference championship weekend because we basically know who has a shot at being in the playoff now and who is basically eliminated from it. Call or text us with what you think, and namely about Alabama's placement above Notre Dame all of a sudden after last night's reveal. 573-875-KTGR if you want to get your thoughts in. We'll also talk our SEC tiers, an update on that, and Eli Drinkwitz talking National Signing Day as the Tigers solidify their 2026 recruiting class of high school players and junior college players. All right, we'll get to all that, but first, it's 5 o'clock.
It's time for the Top 5 at 5 on The Big Show. Number 1.
If you want to trade away for curtain number 1, you can have curtain 1.
Yeah, Mizzou basketball took its first loss of the season last night, 76-71 in South Bend, losing to Notre Dame by that score. And this was a game that went down to the wire. Tigers actually had a nice lead there coming up to the end of the first half, but gave up some quick points to end the half, and it felt like that would come back to bite them. It was a dogfight throughout the second, and ultimately you end up giving up 2 open threes late that you just can't afford in a situation like that. And it feels kind of like what we've been through before. When a team can slow Missouri down and Missouri doesn't shoot well from the outside, this is the recipe that can get them. We know it's a problem. How is Dennis Gates and company going to figure out a way to fix it? That's still a question that remains.
Number 2.
Number 2, your timing is impeccable.
Penultimate. Yeah, we got the second to last college football playoff rankings, and the committee moves Alabama ahead of Notre Dame. And Hunter Yurachek claimed it was due to the strength of that impressive win over Auburn that finally allowed the committee to realize it. Guys, he lied. He lied. The move happens because it insulates the committee from a scenario where Bama loses to Georgia and would then potentially be locked out of the playoff by a bid stealer doomsday scenario. Swapping Bama and Notre Dame in the rankings now, regardless of who really deserves it more, is the latest sign that the CFP committee is a total joke.
Number 3.
It's National Signing Day. I really think I've never been less excited for one than this one. Mizzou signed some high school players, though, to their class of 2026. They have, I think, 19 guys, 13 3-stars and 6 4-stars, according to 24/7, equating to the 33rd ranked class in the country. I just don't have a reaction to that at all. It's perfectly decidedly what it is. I don't think high school recruiting class rankings have ever mattered less. Now, let's go hit the portal and fill some needs.
Number 4.
Oh, shanked it.
That being said, I love this note in a recent piece from Kenny Van Doren of Mizzou Today. Tweeted it out a little bit earlier, talking about Gavin Sidwar's father, who was asking Lindsay Drinkwitz about, hey, after you guys win it all this year, where are you all going next? You know, the coaching rumors. And she laughed and said, we're not leaving. And Sidwar's dad kind of recalling that in the way that she said it, telling him that, hey, we don't have anything to worry about here with these coaching rumors, is kind of a cool thing to read about in retrospect, even though I was certainly worried about it. Maybe it's true, like Drink was never going anywhere. That's what I'd like to believe anyway.
Number 5.
What is the 5 fingers? Say to the face. Slap.
Recent podcast with On 3, they had Duke coach Manny Diaz on, and he said, hey, the ACC champion will always be in the college football playoff, so we're focused on Virginia. Yeah, somebody's got to tell him about that whole Florida State thing a couple years ago.
That's The Big Show's Top 5 at 5 on KTGR.
Well, yeah. And the fact that if he wins, that he's not going to be in.
He's also not in.
Also not in.
There's a couple ways you could go with that. There's the Jordan Travis thing, and then there's the you did lose 5 games this year, coach. But man, that is the level of confidence, and just like in the face of all facts and logic and reason, that's the confidence I want my football coach to have. Be like, No, ACC champ. We're going to get in. We're just going to go and beat Virginia. We'll be 8-5 and we're in. I love it that he said that. Like, it's not true, but I love that he said it.
Hey, you do you. And like Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, is waving the flag saying, hey, we're going to be a 2-bid league, right? Yeah, it's Miami should be in and our conference champion should be in. It's like, okay, yeah, have that confidence. And that's great. Got to be backed up at some point. But you do you. We shall see.
Okay.
I can tell that you are ready to.
I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want you to go first because I know that once I get going,
okay,
you're gonna have to rein me back in.
Well,
generally, your thoughts on the rankings last night. It had been, and I guess I obviously knew what the rankings were the previous week, but the implication of it was not really something I was totally locked in on. That Notre Dame was one spot ahead of Alabama prior to last night's reveal. I guess for me not to really know it is okay because I'm not on the committee. I don't really think the committee knew it either because they go, "Ooh, we got to fix that. We got to fix that." Because if we don't have Alabama ahead of Notre Dame, what could happen is Alabama loses to Georgia, and then the expectation will be we drop them, or we have nothing to do with it because a bid steal happens with an upset in one of these conference championship games, and there's nothing we can do. Alabama would be out at that point. We got to fix this, and that's what they did last night, right?
I can't deny that. Is it wrong though?
Is it wrong
that Alabama should be below Notre Dame? Just in general.
I do not have a take on that. I don't think that's instrumental to the conversation. I don't think it's important.
I think it is.
So we can
consider everything.
All right.
And say who should be ahead of whom.
We'll get into that because I think it's a fun debate. Let's just put it this way. I don't know how strongly I feel about who should be ranked 9th and who should be ranked 10th. Maybe you'll convince me one way or the other.
Okay.
I think it's a more important conversation. Why is it that they can just make it up as they go along and we're content to say, well, if they got it right in the end, I guess it's okay. Like, it just to me shows how much of a sham the process is, that not until the moment arrived that they go, ooh, you know what the implication of this would be if we don't fix this real quick? Like, why is it not good enough to have fixed it last week? Or hell, fix it when Alabama loses to Oklahoma and realize, like, oh, we shouldn't drop them randomly 6 spots because that's not a terrible loss to take. Oklahoma's a top 10 team as well. And maybe at some point we're going to want to put Oklahoma or Alabama back above Notre Dame to avoid this potential scenario, which at the time they didn't know who was going to be playing in the SEC championship game.
Right, yeah.
But the fact that answer is what colors the decision rather than the quality of the resumes, pure and simple, is crazy to me because, no, I do not believe Hunter Yurachek when he says, gosh darn, they just beat Auburn, so we had to move them up.
Well,
that's crazy to me.
Well, that's the crazy part. And look, Hunter Yurachek has not done a very good job at this messaging.
No, imagine that.
Yeah.
The guy who can't get an Arkansas football program to a conference win is having a hard time running
in
college
his defense,
football.
He's probably really impressed with a win over Auburn. He'd give anything for a win over Auburn.
He would do anything.
That's a good point.
Oh, that's where the bias comes in, Billy.
Very good point, Billy.
Beautiful.
So, I mean, here's my biggest problem. Like, we should be mad at the fact that they release rankings every week. Don't do it. Then you don't have to answer these questions. Like, just don't do it. Here's the thing. I'd be okay with them releasing their first ranking this week. Like, just have 2 rankings. Say, okay, before the conference championship games, here's where everybody's at, and here's who can be in based on how the results play about, but we're not going to change the rankings after that. And that'd be fine. I'd be okay with them saying that. They won't because it's a TV show, and it gets you the eyeballs, and it keeps us talking about this sport well into the winter months, and they'll never take it away. But this problem would be solved by them not having a rankings release every week throughout the month of November. So if Alabama was just revealed as better than Notre Dame in this ranking, and it was the first that we had looked at these rankings at all, I don't think anybody has a problem with it. I don't think so.
So I agree with you, but it's like, we don't live in that world. So we have to maybe take the next step and say, should there be an expectation that we have some week-to-week consistency, or does it just not matter to anybody? Because, like, again, if there had been an impressive win by Bama relative to what Notre Dame did, but both of them beat nobodies. Notre Dame beat theirs by 20. Bama did win on the road, which I get it, and we prep up the SEC. It's not a bad win to win on the road in the SEC in a rivalry game.
I mean,
but it's not. It doesn't change the ranking of the full resume. In my opinion, that's a crock.
To be fair, Notre Dame's game against Stanford brought a larger hit to their strength of schedule than Alabama's game against Auburn did.
Sure.
And so that takes a dip. And so Alabama, with how their schedule didn't quite necessarily take as much of a hit from that, it starts to now let you look at the larger picture of, okay, how have they looked against everybody? And I think very clearly Alabama has a better strength of schedule than Notre Dame does. And what is it? Same records, right? Both 10-2.
Same records
going into this weekend.
Alabama's losses are to whom? I always can't remember them on the fly.
They lost
Oklahoma
to
and Florida State.
Florida State and Oklahoma.
So, like, there's the Florida State argument, and like everybody with Texas is saying it's not the Ohio State loss that's keeping you out. It's the Florida loss, which totally valid.
Right.
But then you can look at Alabama and say, like, well, Alabama lost just certainly. What was the result of that Florida State game? Florida won it.
Killed them.
Is that killed them? Right. So,
yeah.
It's very selective amnesia when it comes to, what we decide to care about and not care about. But at the same time, yeah, Texas had an additional loss, and that's we have to put that conversation in a bit of a different pile, because where Texas ended up last night, not a surprise to me at all. I think it was about appropriate and unfortunate. It's the nature of the beast. If you're going to have a 12-team playoff, unfortunately, because of the way conferences are structured, there are going to be 16 worthy teams that think they're in the top 12. That is the nature of expanded conferences not being able to play everybody, and it's why the conference championship game structure is probably going to go by the wayside. But, man, when it comes to that Notre Dame and Alabama thing, I just wish they could have had a little bit of foresight, or just have graded that.
Be better at your jobs during the first
time.
Four. Yeah, the first time.
When Oklahoma beats Alabama, I get it that we're all like ready to like make a big shakeup to our rankings. If Oklahoma's going to end up in your top 8 or 10 after that game, I don't think Alabama can drop so many spots as a result of that. But they're just, because of the various head-to-heads that are in play here, and then there aren't some head-to-heads, but it's an 11-1 BYU that they're like, well, they didn't play any of these people, but technically they're a Power 4. Power 4 doesn't mean what it used to. And like the task of getting a top 12 is inherently difficult. I think 16 would be a great number for the way that college football is currently set up. It's not there. And so you're going to have 5 teams in that 10 to 15 range that I think are pretty similar on an annual basis. And here we are. They can't figure out what to do, and so they had to clean up their previous mistakes. To your point, Andy, do your job better the first time.
Yeah, Billy.
I will say the one nice thing about this is, you think back to 2023, it was gut-wrenching that Florida State got left out. And it would have been tough on Alabama, too, who looked great after that opening loss to Texas, had they been left out. Yeah. The nice thing is I'm not weeping tears for anybody that gets left out of the playoff. Either you lost to somebody you shouldn't have lost to, or you didn't beat anybody good.
Yeah.
BYU had a great season, don't get me wrong, but they get 2 cracks at Texas Tech, and if you don't beat Tech, I'm sorry.
You're not entitled to any more than that, right? I think that's a great outlook to have, for sure. And, like, as much as it's objectively true that Texas is probably in, at least like on this 9-10 cut line that we're talking about with Alabama and Notre Dame, if they had played Ohio instead of Ohio State in week 1, then I think that's exactly where Texas would be. As much as that is true, we can at least say you did lose to the Florida Gators, and that's not a compliment in 2025.
Yeah.
Right?
Because,
Alabama lost to Florida State. That stinks. But you know what? They ended up with more wins, and their resume was still pretty darn good.
And
so
they got some gems on that. Like they beat Georgia already, and they're about to play
gems, or they beat people down. And if you're Texas, you had one gem. That's A&M. It just gets outweighed by the nature of your losses, unfortunately. Is the same argument, though, valid for Miami? Because I would say the nature of their resume, very strong. It's outweighed by the 2 losses, in my opinion. I do not respect the losses that they held relative to Notre Dame's, and I understand that Miami was the literal team that beat Notre Dame one of those times. I think the resumes are far enough apart that Juricek's weirdness with Reese Davis on we will reseed the teams and re-rank the. Haven't you been ranking them every single week? What is the conversation going to be differently on two teams that aren't playing this weekend?
Yeah.
That was bizarre to me.
That's really weird. I mean, look, and again, I'm looking at who the opponents are on their schedule that are playing this weekend. Like, I'm okay with
Which is the point you made yesterday.
I'm okay with you reevaluating that part of it, but who is playing Miami's schedule? Let me see. Did they play Duke? I believe they did. No, they didn't. Did they play Virginia? No. So what
are we talking about here, guys?
Exactly. I mean,
Notre Dame played A&M. They're not They're not in the championship game this weekend.
So what's there to evaluate? It's the same.
Nothing.
Same deal.
Thank you.
Like they've got to be
Boise State.
Okay,
that's the only.
All right. There's one.
Billy? Which team played Boise State?
Notre Dame defeated Boise State at 28-7.
Yeah.
They play UNLV on Saturday.
Boise State loses to UNLV 52-3. I mean, Dan Mullen is just cruising to that conference championship.
Yeah,
and we have to go back and say, you know what?
We were wrong on Notre Dame.
We had graded Notre Dame's win over Boise as an 8 out of 10. We really liked it. But now it's a 6 out of 10. And now the algorithm, they just don't like you as much.
Just flipped. Wow. It made such a difference there.
And I respect that it's difficult, right? Because you have these sandwiches where BYU is sandwiched in between these two teams. And it's kind of like a buffer. And that if they were right next to each other, you'd be like, well, you know what? If right now your belief is that Miami's better than Notre Dame, rank them 8th. I don't care. Put them up way above them if you think they belong above Notre Dame. You can't tell me that because the buffer leaves that suddenly we can evaluate Notre Dame against Miami when we weren't allowed to do that before. That's what the seed scrubbing is all about, and you come to a conclusion of who should be ranked higher. You don't just get to stick a team there as a buffer, which, oh, by the way, we have universally decided that if Alabama loses to Georgia, it doesn't matter that they don't drop back below Notre Dame. And I'm not arguing that they should. I'm just also arguing like, okay, is that good enough for the SEC but not good enough for the Big 12? If BYU should lose to Tech close, and like with Billy earlier, I said the exact opposite of this, but I'm playing the devil's advocate now. Do we not weight that equally to say, hey, you qualified for your conference championship game, a game that other teams, if they had qualified for, like we wouldn't want them to be punished, so why should you be? Is the difference that the SEC has more worthy teams and the Big 12 had, like, those were the two that were going to be playing in the conference championship by default? Like, I'm okay if that's the answer. I just think it's relevant to ask, are we treating this equally across the board in the way that we evaluate these conversations? Because nobody's saying, hey, if Georgia pops Alabama, Alabama needs to be out. I don't really hear that from very many people, if any. I do wonder if there's a margin. Like, if it's 21
I think
points.
There could be. Like, and look, the Alabama fans would be livid about it because they say,
we already beat Georgia.
What are we talking about here?
Should have let A&M play this game. Like, what are we doing? And I get it, but this is what everybody agreed we should have is bigger conferences. All of your conference commissioners, they said, yeah, let's let these Oklahomas and these Texases in, and it'll be, this is
what you get.
It's the line about the reaping and the sowing. You know, when I'm sowing, it's great, and then I'm reaping. Oh no, I didn't want it. I don't want this.
Right.
Well, here we are.
Kind of what you're dealt with. Give us your college football playoff takes, 875-KTGR. And look, like, we talk a lot about that aspect where you're describing, Brendan, the large conferences creating this top heaviness. Like, the top of the Big Ten can beat up on the bottom of the Big Ten. Same with the ACC, same with the Big 12. That happened to a degree in the SEC this year. Like, let's acknowledge it. There are only 6 SEC teams are not going to play in a bowl game. Like, it was a bad bottom for the SEC this year. And if Ole Miss and or Texas A&M had taken another loss, I'm not so sure they're in. Like, they might be feeling similar to Vanderbilt.
Because they'd all be 10-2.
Right?
And they'd have to, because again, last year there weren't enough 10-2s. Any SEC 10-2 would have been legit. Billy mentions, like, last year SMU did fall after the ACC title game, but there was not a legitimate SEC 10-2 to take their spot.
Yeah.
There just wasn't one. And we were not going to prop up those 9-3s.
No.
So the difference this year is more of those SECs had such schedules that they were able to all end up 10-2 together. It's exactly what we talked about at the beginning of the year when we said, yeah, 10-2 is probably enough for Mizzou, but we don't really know until we get there. And so maybe this was a good year not to go 10-2, because who knows what they would have done. They would have had to parse which 10-2s are valid and which ones are not. And that's a challenge when so many are going to be eligible to finish with that record in a world where you don't have to play everybody. That's, I guess, the good part about it for the SEC expanding, is that with the 9 games, there's going to be a little bit more of a delineation. You damn well better know that your 10-2 is going to be good enough. But then there's going to be a 9-3 that says, well, we have a claim now because we had to play such a difficult schedule. I thought it was meaningful for Texas to move above Vanderbilt. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. Like, that is a beacon for future SEC teams like Texas, but the difference next year will be there'll be an SEC team that goes 9-3 with the wins that Texas has, and their losses will look more like Notre Dame's losses, and then we'll be able to say that's a real 9-3. But the lesson is still going to be, if you're going to lose 3 games, one of them better not be to a Florida that went 5-7 or whatever it is. Like, you're going to have to get the gimmies on your schedule, and then we will allow no quad 3 losses. Like, that's what we're saying. Trying to compare it to basketball is a fool's errand. But if you have a quad 1 loss or 2 or 3, that's fine. As long as you've got the wins to back it up, we will work with you if the field allows us to. But you can't take those types of bad losses almost no matter what you did otherwise.
Josh texting in, do any ACC teams get in? What happens if Duke beats Virginia? Well, that'll be the case. If Duke beats Virginia,
they're all out.
And another interesting thing the committee went ahead and did is said, oh, yeah, James Madison's 25. I really don't think they're the 25th best team in the country right now.
But they needed to say it because they wanted to set.
Because they needed to set up the situation. Yep.
What I want to know is, though, do you put any stock into Hunter Yurachek being very kind of reticent to really say anything with Reese Davis? Because Reese Davis was kind of like trying to get him to spell out, like, yeah, you'll be willing to rank Miami above Notre Dame once we get BYU out of the way, right? And he didn't pour cold water on it, but he also didn't say it. And then Yurachek went on other podcasts. I saw a clip of him today where he talked more at length about why Miami was below Notre Dame, and it doesn't lead me to believe they're going to change it. If you look at sports betting odds in those markets, those do not lead you to believe they're going to change it. But if you look at Twitter, Miami fans are confident. They are convinced that the conspiracy is going to go their way if BYU loses. Wow. So much so that Miami fans are like, Notre Dame fans, why are you rooting for Texas Tech? Like, you know what that's going to mean, right? It's like, no, they have to root for Texas Tech because otherwise BYU steals the bid and you're both out.
Yeah.
So I think Miami fans are just delusional. Maybe it's just the ones that are coming across my timeline. But do you think there is any chance that it plays out that Miami gets in above Notre Dame? Is there any way that happens in your mind?
I mean, there's a chance, but like that, I'm trying to.
It would be so insane
scenario, right?
It would be that crap crazy.
So, like, let's say Alabama wins this weekend.
Sure.
So it basically guarantees Alabama's spots. The top 9 are in.
Yep.
Okay, so that means that Texas Tech would take the auto bid, and that allows for the extra at-large to be claimed by Notre Dame potentially.
Right. But then BYU drops. Let's look at the BYU loss similar to SMU losing last year. Even though SMU ended up being in, to Billy's point, they did drop 2 spots. So BYU drops behind
Texas,
Miami.
Probably. Yeah, Miami.
Well, I'm just saying that Texas is irrelevant. It's Miami that they drop behind, and now we have it directly next to one another. Notre Dame 10, Miami 11. There would be literally no reason to then swap those because you know what? We just realized it. Those 2 teams actually played each other this year, so we're going to switch it now. That cannot be the way that it works. I'm fairly confident that it won't be, but it was very bizarre the way that they laid it out last night.
I'm not confident they won't switch it, like, because they've done it before. Like they've essentially said that head-to-head is the main thing that should put a team above another if they are next to each other. They're doing it right now with Texas and Vanderbilt, I think, to a degree.
But I think it's right in that instance because the big game that Texas won just happened, which is why when in 2023 Texas was 7, Alabama was 8, Alabama wins, they vault up and they vault all the way past Florida State. Yeah. Bad example because we're not dealing with the difference between 8 and 4 anymore, which should be tougher to make that leap. Logically, it could be a little bit easier to leap from 12 to 10 per se. But neither of those teams are playing. There's not going to be a new information of Alabama getting a big win to vault up past some other teams. There's not going to be this weekend the instance of Miami's resume suddenly improving. you have made the statement that Miami's resume, for better or worse, is not as strong as Notre Dame's. That's the statement that you've made. And not only do those teams not play this weekend, I know that they play 13 times on ACC Network. That's all well and good.
That's great.
Those teams don't actually play each other, and none of the teams that they played this season are even in action other than Boise State. So no, that's not enough for me to look at that result and say, we realized Boise State was in the conference championship game, and so we decided to switch them. Like, there would be no logic for it other than we truly are making this up as we go along, and it's a reality TV show and nothing more.
This is so great. It is a reality TV show. That's why
I almost hope it happens, but I really don't. And I
really
said at the start of the show, I don't care about either of these teams. I have no affiliation to Miami nor Notre Dame. I do think Notre Dame is more deserving because I respect that they didn't lose to bums. But if you feel differently, that's fine. Not what I'm arguing. I'm arguing that because they didn't put it that way prior to this week, and there is no new data that we're going to get about these two teams, you cannot switch them. It would be lunacy on the level of the Florida State thing from a couple of years ago that got you real upset. I think this would be not like a worse injustice because, like I said, either way, you can pick whichever team you think deserves it more, and it won't be an injustice.
At the very least, you got no new data, and you changed your mind.
That's why it would be more insane than the Florida State one, because that was at least new data. If you disagreed with their interpretation of that data, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're not getting anything new. They can't possibly switch it.
Right.
And so we'll see if they do, because inevitably they probably will.
875-KTGR if you want to call or text us with your thoughts on the college football playoff rankings released last night and what it can mean for this weekend as the conference championship games get played. We will talk about the SEC in general. We'll have an update on our own tiers in the SEC. Maybe the final ones, I suppose. And there's only two teams playing left, and who cares about the bowls at this point? So we'll have our rankings, not rankings, they're tiers. Difference. Very key difference. Tiers are different than rankings. We'll get to that next.
Breaking down the Tigers, Cardinals, Chiefs, and more like no one else. The Big Show continues next on KTGR.
Well, the holidays are going to be here before you know it, and so will the family visits, the gatherings, and all the stress that comes with them. If your to-do list around the house still hasn't been touched, call Bax Homeworks. Their handyman service can take care of those little fixes, updates, and projects you've been putting off. Don't worry, you're not the only one. But that way, you can focus on what really matters. Relieve the stress now. Visit BaxHomeworks.com or find them on Facebook. Bax Homeworks. Getting your to-do list done.
KTGR and MU Healthcare Sports Medicine are highlighting a local athlete each week. It's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight.
This week features Father Tolton's sophomore guard, Jordan Ray, who scored 13 points and added 7 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 steals, helping the Trailblazers to a 48-41 win over Herman in their season opener.
That's the KTGR Athlete Spotlight, thanks to MU Healthcare Sports Medicine, providing everything athletes need to be and stay at their best, because they're competitors too.
It's hard to believe basketball season is already here. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill reminds you that whether you need a place to grab a bite after a local high school or college game, or you just want to plop down with some friends and watch some hoops on TV, they've got a spot for you. 1851 Underground has drink specials and discount happytizers for happy hour. Check them out on Facebook or at 1851underground.com. It's not a secret, but it is underground. 1851 Underground Tap and Grill in the historic Brick District, downtown Fulton.
Hi, I'm Tristan Colon, Mizzou grad and 6-year NFL veteran.
I'm Charlie Sticklin.
And I'm Sarah Sticklin-McDonald of the Sticklin & Sticklin Injury Law Firm.
In football, home field advantage can make all the difference.
The same is true when choosing your injury lawyer.
We're locals. We know the courts, we know the towns, we know the people.
Just as I protect my team on the field.
Our family will protect your family.
When sorry just doesn't cut it.
Push back with Sticklin & Sticklin.
I'm Michael Agnew with API Project Fitness. At API, we're dedicated to helping you reach your fitness goals with workouts that are motivating, challenging, and effective. Our group classes are high energy and designed to maximize your time with efficient movements and smooth flow. There are real results here to find, whether you're just starting out or ready to push it to the next level. API is where hard work meets progress. Everyone needs a fitness routine. Let us be yours. Sign up today for a free trial at apiprojectfitness.com.
Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. Hit a deer, win a cow. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. FPP, Easy's 1, 2, 3. Award-winning auto collision repair. Don't wait, we're great. We work with all insurance companies. We work with all insurance companies. Yes, we work with your insurance company. New Bloomfield, Missouri. FPPBodyShop.com. 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 Fletcher, Performance and Paint.
A house full of family, all the kids and their cousins. Uncle Bob with a bellyache, snarfing shrimp by the dozens. When all of a sudden, the guests heard a bang. The garage door opened and surprised the whole gang. The water heater blown, now those showers were frigid, which left Uncle Bob quite rigid and livid. Then Brian Ware's sleigh pulled up in the drive, and his water restoration guy, Josh, did arrive. Disaster averted, and oh, what a sight. Once again, Brian Ware saved Christmas that night. Better call Brian and unplug your plumbing problems. BrianWarePlumbing.com.
Back to more of the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. You've got The Big Show on the KTGR app.
Oh, all the takes for the college football playoff. Give them to us, 573-875-KTGR. I mean, this committee, I really wish they would just not release rankings until this week. And then we wouldn't have these questions. It would just...
The TV networks are so inextricably tied to the entity itself.
Mm-hmm.
And the ratings for those shows are probably really good on what otherwise would just be a Tuesday of, whatever live content is on, probably game start. But it probably gets eyeballs, and it certainly drums up conversation throughout the whole week. I'm sure every single talk show today, hell, we did it. Yeah. Every talk show today is talking about it. So it is the nature of the beast, and it's not going away anytime soon.
Don't you love it? It's wonderful.
I mean,
it's just, this is, and this is why I feel like I'm okay with this over the BCS ranking system, even though I know that would be a little more objective, but not completely objective, because there was still a human element to that too.
Right.
But like this, we get to question these 13 people that are dedicated to it and are, I'm sure, paid to do it very well, even though they all have full-time jobs and they can't watch every game and they do have to rely upon a set of numbers themselves. I wish that the process was a little more transparent. Even
and
though,
like where the guy at the front facing of the committee just changes in the middle of the year just because.
Yeah, exactly. Different circumstances that time, obviously.
No, but still,
that's
it's
true.
a mess.
It
is a mess.
It's a mess.
The whole thing.
Went to a guy, and the first guy didn't even necessarily have that great messaging himself when trying to explain these rankings.
No, he didn't do a great job, and I think they probably got worse.
Yeah, they did.
It's been rough.
It's been very bad. So we'll see what happens this weekend and how it affects what the committee will then be charged with.
Do you think they need some help with how to rank teams or how to put them into tiers? Because we could show them.
We could show them.
We could give them an example if you would like.
We are immaculate at that, as everyone knows.
We're completely infallible. Yeah.
There
beyond reproach.
Yes. If you are watching on YouTube and on Facebook, you'll see our tiers flashing up there. But mine read Bama, or not Bama, A&M and Georgia at the top from last week, and then Ole Miss, Alabama, OU, then Vandy and Texas, and then the rest. That obviously has to change. Let's go to Brendan's here, and he had the same two teams. I think we had the same 8-ish. You had a different third tier. But largely the same teams, 1 through 8, and you decided to add Tennessee into the third tier, and you had Mizzou all alone in its fourth tier.
Yeah, Tennessee certainly drops down, I think, to join Missouri, because the other 7 at the top, A&M, Georgia, Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Alabama, Vanderbilt, Texas, they won't all make the playoff, but they were all in the range to have done so. Tennessee gets popped by Vanderbilt. Good for Vandy. 10-2. They're not going to be making the playoff at 10-2. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, and different. The numbers didn't bear out. It's not going to be. And the good news is we won't have this 12-team playoff for much longer. They'll change it as soon as they can. Then maybe they'll even change it for next year. They extended that deadline, so we'll see. but hopefully like the realization is coming of like the terms of the deal have been altered. Like it's not the same as we can say, well, yeah, but this year the rankings were kind of like this, and you're going to get with these mega conferences this glut of teams that all of them are going to go, yeah, but we only lost 2 games, or we lost 3, but look at who we beat and look at who we lost to. Like there's going to just be that natural number of 14 to 18, whatever it's going to be, 10 to 14. It'll be a little bit different each year, but there's going to be this glut that is unanswerable at the end of the day with, razor thin margins from trying to compare across conferences and trying to do all this stuff. At least with the SEC, I can go, all right, those the cut line for like who had at least a valid argument, and some are better than others, but that cut line comes certainly after those top 7 teams, right? I'll include both Texas and Vandy within that. But I gave Tennessee. I thought Tennessee would play Vandy a little bit better than they did at home last weekend, and I was wrong to move Tennessee up there because they weren't on that level this year. They just weren't.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they belong on the same tier still as Mizzou and LSU, which is what I had last week. And so I'll kind of keep that the same. My 3rd and 4th tiers definitely are not changing. What do we do at the top? We both had A&M Georgia.
Yeah,
and then we both had Bama, Ole Miss, OU in tier 2.
Is one of the, because like the natural thing would be to go, oh, okay, so drop A&M, right? Because they lost. Is Georgia the best team in the SEC? Like now that we're here, obviously, if you consider a team the best in the SEC, they should be on your top tier.
Right.
Who's the best team in the SEC if you had to pick it today at the end of it all?
Yeah, I'd probably say Georgia.
Probably Georgia.
Say Georgia.
But are they a tier above the second best team? Like I'll have Georgia in my top tier.
So
that's valid. That's fine.
I will say yes, because there were couple games that maybe should not have been as close as they were. Just barely got by Florida. That's a neutral site game. That's one
rivalry.
That rivalry on the road against Auburn. A lot of teams struggled on the road against Auburn, as we know. The loss to Alabama, obviously at home, hurts, but they go on the road to Tennessee and win. That's not a bad win. They trounced Texas, a team that just missed out. They beat out Ole Miss. The only team to hang a loss on Ole Miss this year.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, mostly everywhere else they were fine. I know they kind of struggled with Georgia Tech this weekend. That was a weird game. I don't, to them, they are now looking like the team that has the fewest flaws. I'm not going to say that they don't have any and that they can't be exposed at some point over the next month.
Yeah.
But to me, I have more worries about whether the next 4 teams are going to be screwed by a matchup in the playoff at some point.
And they can't make the adjustment to it. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think Georgia is mostly matchup proof, but it's not to say they can't lose a game going forward. But if I had to put my odds on an SEC team winning it all, then I would say Georgia is my best.
Yeah, and I don't know who in this conference is like, I don't know if anybody's blowing out Georgia. If they would have played all 15 teams, I don't know that one of them would have just dominated Georgia.
Right.
I think they're steadier as a team. Bama beat them, but that was a close game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with you in saying that Georgia's the best team in the SEC right now. If Bama gets them twice, man, that's going to be interesting because Bama may be the team with the highest upside in the SEC. You could maybe make that case for A&M too. But I also think A&M's, why do I think A&M's is flimsier? When I think about A&M and their upside, they just lost, so maybe that's the answer, is that I'm suffering from this recency bias.
All 4 of these teams we're talking about, I have a lot of buts about them.
Yeah.
Or a big one that I just can't get past. And for A&M and for Ole Miss, for that matter, too, it's the but who did you play in conference that really scares you? Now, for Ole Miss, they have a bit of a better one. Because they did beat Oklahoma, and that's going to be a win that really does live up strongly.
I think A&M's win over Notre Dame does, but it's not a conference game to your point. But like they did win that game to show their offensive upside. But their defense, it didn't happen. Missouri didn't quite do it. But when we were previewing that game, I said you can score on A&M. Like they have given up points in a number of their games, particularly when they were away from Kyle Field. And so by the time that Texas game came around, I was thinking Texas was going to win it. Like it just felt like it was like, we've been waiting for A&M to slip up. We saw them almost do it to South Carolina. And it felt like the Texas one was going to be where it inevitably happened. And so they are who we thought they were. That's still a really good team. But like you said, one with flaws.
And then in the case of Alabama, it's okay. You've got a good amount of quality wins on this resume. Florida State still exists. And
yeah, that's your low. You can play down to that level.
Right.
It turns out
that's still possible. It was like, it kind of almost happened this past weekend at Jordan-Hare.
Yeah,
almost.
Otherwise, you could argue that they fixed it, right? It was a week one problem, and then we were better ever since.
Yeah.
But you did, and frankly, Oklahoma's defense should be commended. They're a really good defense, but we saw at times Alabama's offense not be quite as like they've got all-world receivers. Their running game though just has not been very good. Like, why not? And is that something that's gonna, if they get too one-dimensional, to your point about matchups in a playoff, are they going to end up in a spot where they're just a team that can stop them from throwing the ball the way they want to and they can't turn around and run it?
Yeah.
My gosh, could you imagine Alabama's pass game and Mizzou's run game if you just smushed them together?
They'd be
that is just an unbelievable offense. But Bama just can't. They don't have that consistency on the ground.
Right. And then I think a similar thing for Oklahoma. Can you score enough?
They just don't have an offense.
Games? They don't.
They
have an offense.
stink offensively. Yeah. And actually, as we go in, because I want to sort of use this last round of tiers as a way to kind of preview the playoff at the top, I'm going to take Oklahoma and drop them.
Wow.
By virtue of that LSU game.
Oh.
They could have and probably should have lost that game. They had like a fluke long touchdown bomb pass. That's not going to be the standard against most playoff caliber defenses. LSU's a good defense, but they're a no offense team. And I wasn't comfortable with the way that Oklahoma, and I legitimately think of the teams that Oklahoma cannot win a national championship. They flat out cannot. Bama can. Georgia obviously can. A&M can. I wouldn't pick them to. This almost feels more appropriate to rank the teams than to tier them. If I was going to rank them, I get it. If I was going to rank them, it's Georgia, Bama, A&M, Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Which again, if that's a mirror of what the real rankings are, then fine, sue me. But I feel like there's a drop off at Oklahoma because they, to me, do not possess the upside offensively to get there, to get it home and actually make a run at this thing.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be that punitive. I'll still keep Oklahoma in my tier 2. So that's Alabama, Ole Miss, OU, and A&M for me. And then it's Vandy and Texas still in tier 3, Mizzou, Tennessee, LSU in tier 4. But look, I get it. Like there's something about Oklahoma, but that's the but for me is that I don't think that they're winning their next game, which will be in the playoff.
Yep, which is why I dropped them into the Texas Vandy tier. Right. I know that Oklahoma is going to qualify for a playoff that the other two aren't, but I think the margins are so thin there. Within tier 3, I would go OU, Texas, then Vandy.
Yeah,
but I've got them in the same tier.
Yeah,
same quality of team.
I'm trying to think, too, on the Ole Miss front. I mean, how much do you dock them for losing Lane Kiffin just in the meeting room, the mind, and the whole turmoil? Like, I can't imagine.
That's
they're the
their
same team, right?
for me. Yeah.
So would I make a better argument that I could put Ole Miss and Oklahoma in the same category and make an additional tier? Because they'll both be in the playoff. I trust them the same to not win. like the teams that can win a title are Georgia, Bama, and maybe A&M if they play offense like they did in some of those games, like the Notre Dame game.
Yeah,
they could do it. They could get hot. I don't expect it though. Yeah, Bama and Georgia are the only 2 SEC teams that I really think can win a national championship, despite the field being chock full of SEC teams.
Man. And then after that, I mean, there's 6 teams left.
For you, I'm still going to place LSU.
Okay.
Which, I think that stays the same for me. I had LSU and Auburn in a tier below Mizzou, who was on an island last week. LSU and Auburn had the same game. They lost close in a lower scoring kind of game to a playoff team and played pretty well in doing it and made me question that playoff team a little bit more. So, yeah, they're, to me, still the next tier of teams in the conference.
Okay. I still had LSU with Tennessee and Mizzou. I will drop Kentucky, man.
Dude, that was pretty bad.
That was
pretty bad. I don't respect Louisville at all. So for them to lose
Louisville's a good team. I just
they're
put up a fight in that rivalry game when you can win when get bowl eligibility.
Put up a fight, put up a points.
Yeah.
What are the two?
Yeah.
They
drop. So I will leave Mississippi State and Auburn in the same tier 5 for me. And then the bottom tier is Kentucky, Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah.
That's mine.
Yeah. So Kentucky just joins your bottom tier there. Last week, I had Florida, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Arkansas, and South Carolina all on the bottom. And South Carolina lost to Clemson, right? And I don't respect that. Now, there is a bowl projection that has Mizzou playing Clemson, so just making note of that. At the end of it all, and Florida did pop Florida State. So I will give Florida its own little spot. Kentucky, Arkansas, South Carolina is the bottom of the barrel for sure.
Yeah.
Mississippi State played okay in the Egg Bowl. That was close-ish, right? What was the final score of that game?
38-19.
Okay, so not really. Florida is the only team.
I would not put Mississippi State in the bottom tier. I didn't do it.
You're right.
So,
they get to join Florida. So actually, and there were weeks this year, I'll be honest, where with my tiers, I was like, I don't really know. I don't feel like I can defend these. I think I can top to bottom at the end of it all.
Okay.
Kentucky, South Carolina, Arkansas were the basement. And then I think I ended up with probably more tiers than you this time, but
yeah, you did.
I feel good about them.
But that is the absolute bottom of the SEC. They were bad teams this year. 875-KTGR if you want to call or text us. Okay, we will get to a few thoughts that Eli Drinkwitz gave today about National Signing Day, and let us know your comments. 875-5847 after this live local sports center.
Now, your local sports center update on your total sports station, KTGR.
Good afternoon. This Sports Center update is with Lease Tire Company. If it's rounded rubber, Lease sells it. LeaseTireCompany.com. Missouri basketball suffers its first loss of the season. The men's team loses 76-71 at Notre Dame in the SEC ACC Challenge. Tigers now sit at 8-1 on the season. It was Cole Carter with the go-ahead three-pointer with just 21 seconds left to lift the Irish over the Tigers. 26 points and 5 rebounds for Mark Mitchell. Jacob Cruz was over 20 points as well. He was 5 for 10 for deep. Finished with 22 points. Tigers are back in action against rivals Kansas on Sunday. That game at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City. Tip-off at noon, and you can hear that one on KCMQ. Missouri football signs 19 freshmen for their high school class on National Signing Day today. ESPN ranked that as the 25th best class in the country. Some injury news for the Chiefs, who will take on the Texans Sunday night. Guard Trey Smith and tackle Jawan Taylor both did not practice today. Andy Reid announcing Josh Simmons is on IR after wrist surgery, an injury he sustained in their loss against Dallas last Thursday. Your ABC 78 Storm Track forecast is with Steve's Pest Control. Merry Christmas from Steve, Anita, Megan, Jared, and the entire team at Steve's Pest Control. Wishing you and your family a safe and happy holiday season.
I'm tracking dangerous cold tonight with below zero wind chills for Thursday morning. A weather alert days in effect through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for that dangerous cold. We're still below freezing all day tomorrow, even with sunshine, but we do bounce back the rest of the week into the upper 30s on Friday and Saturday. We look dry for the rest of the forecast with our next system looming at the end of the weekend. I'm meteorologist Nate Splater, and that's your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast on your total sports station, KTGR.
Hi, everyone. Andy Humphrey here for Lee's Tire Company. It is getting to be holiday time, and that means slick roads a lot of the time. So make sure that your tires are in tip-top shape. If you need new ones, now's a great time to get some at Lee's Tire Company, because right now they're running a special where you can buy 2 tires and get 2 free on Mastercraft and other select brands. That's right. Buy 2 tires and get 2 free. That'll save you a ton of money if you need new tires, or you just want to switch them out for the winter time. You can do that too with Lee's Tire Company. They have an excellent service team at all 3 of their locations that can get your car serviced for these winter months. And of course, they are the tire pros in mid-Missouri. I've gotten my new tires from Lee's Tire Company. You should do so too, especially now. Buy 2 tires, get 2 free on Mastercraft and other select brands at Lee's Tire Company on the Business Loop in Columbia, or University Garage by the MU campus, or their location in Centralia. If it's round and rubber, Lee's sells it. Lee'sTireCompany.com.
Wishing you a season filled with the air is merrier when you get spirits rise, in fact they're soaring. Here to keep your fire roaring.
Happy holidays from Shangri-La Dispensaries. Shangri-La Dispensaries is paradise found. ShangriLaDispensaries.com.
Leland, I think Mom's been hitting the candy canes again. Yep, she said if you come into Bet's Jewelers and say you heard this ad on the radio, you get $100 off. $100, no minimum. No catch, any jewelry in stock. So earrings under $100? Free. Should I tell Dad or should you? Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas from Bet's Jewelers. Beautiful moments begin at Bet's. Begin at Bet's.
Hi, this is Kim with Hearing Aid Consultants and Allmake Repair Lab at 315 Ellis Boulevard in Jefferson City. From carols sung by a choir to the tearing of wrapping paper and jingling of bells, the holiday season is a time full of delightful sounds you shouldn't have to miss. If you think your quality of hearing may be turning you grinchy, come in for a free hearing evaluation so you don't miss a single jingle. We are here for you today so you can hear tomorrow. Find us online at hearingaidconsultants.com.
My name is Josh Arnold, and I've been working at Zimmer Communications for over 5 years. When I first started at Zimmer, I was really impressed at all of the resources that they have available to you to succeed. I started at this job right out of college. I think I learned more here my first 3 to 6 months than I did in all of my time in my schooling at college. Working at Zimmer Communications, you really feel like you're part of a team. You don't feel like you're pitted against one another. It's a really fun atmosphere that allows me to excel in my job.
If you're up for the challenge, apply now at ZimmerCommunications.com.
This year, take a bite out of one holiday hassle and have your festive feast expertly prepared by Main Event Catering, the chefs of Courtyard by Marriott Columbia. Ready for pickup? You'll spend less time in the kitchen and more smiles with family. All the favorites: turkey, ham, prime rib, roast beef, even fried chicken, and more. Plus, any of the side dishes and desserts your crew craves. Treat to your family with Main Event Catering. Order Holiday Magic today. 443-8000, 443-8000, and jingle all the way.
They can't shoot it straight on the golf course, but they can shoot straight on the biggest sports stories in mid-Missouri. Back to Andy and Brendan on The Big Show on KTGR.
Thanks for joining us here on The Big Show. You can call or text us at 875-KTGR. Did you know today was National Signing Day? I mean, it was. It's true. I mean, I get it. It's a lot different now. And Eli Drinkwitz, this was kind of the main summation from him right at the very beginning, it seemed, of his National Signing Day press conference.
This used to be a really big day, man. What happened? What has happened?
I mean,
he gets it.
I can't argue much with that.
Yep.
He did talk a lot about, I mean, less specifically about the class. He was asked about some specific players, but largely it's about big picture. Like, okay, what does today mean? But now what's to come, because the transfer portal now will be just as important to try and get your roster ready to go for the future. And so I think that's the main difference, is that, yeah, they got a bunch of high school players today. And the reason why it's not as a big deal is because I think it's harder to predict now who will be the major contributors from that high school class.
It's impossible.
Harder than it's ever been.
It's impossible to know. They might tell us in August there's one or two that are, as a freshman, you might notice a guy, but just looking at the stars is not good enough. He's a 4-star. Well, some 4-stars are ready, some aren't. It's a crapshoot. And then beyond that year, who knows how many of them are still going to be here. There are guys today that, we were excited about when they got him to sign, like a Brendan Haygood, running back. It's like, he's going to be, no, he's not going to play. He's going to transfer.
Reportedly transferring today,
James Madison we talked a lot about James Madison.
Right.
That was about the last recruiting class that I was ready to talk about. And now we're like, all right, we get it. It is what it is. We'll see if they perform. You got to have them. You got to have the 19 human beings that are going to come in and try to compete and contribute, but inevitably not all of them will. And that's just, it all filters down from there.
Right. It all depends on, can you get at least 4 or 5 of them to stick around and be major contributors going forward. It's just really hard to guess who exactly those are going to be. And like, if I picked out, I think it'll be the 4-stars, which Mizzou has like 4 or 5 of them, I believe, something like that. Like if I picked, those are going to be the major contributors. Like I could be right, but I'm most likely to be wrong. Like really, we don't know. And so it just depends on how it will look. Now, what I am encouraged by, and Eli Drinkwitz made sure to point this out, is that I believe he said 15 of the 19 are going to enroll early. And so that gets the staff an early look as like, okay, can we identify a little bit sooner who can help us out right away? So I'd be interested to see if that is a little bit different this time around. But yeah, we can get to more of his thoughts tomorrow. Some of the audio, you can hear the full press conference over at ktgr.com. But he did talk about the transfer portal and what it'll mean this year. There's only one transfer window, so that makes it a little different.
And that I will be happy to talk about because I think that is what matters.
Yeah, so we'll get to some more of that. We'll get to Play Fade Eliminate tomorrow. Be sure to
last week before the playoffs, fantasy friends.
Oh, yeah. So be ready for it. Bring your questions for us on fantasy football tomorrow. Tiger Talk, the basketball edition, debuts next. Kelly Harper at 6 o'clock. Dennis Gates at 7. Stay tuned for it here on KTGR.
I love a day on the water with friends.